Okay, here we are. We continue with Reishis Chochma. If anyone by chance was here, waiting at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, okay, we got very involved in our limud of Mishlei with Bir Agra. So sorry, I'm a few minutes late from the original planned air time. Okay, we continue with Reishis Chochma. Oh man, I hope I don't have. Okay, more on Yiras Hashem. We ended off with a very nice piece from his Rebbe, the Moshe Cordovero, that is not in Hezbollah Zara, which we don't have in the Or Yakar that we have from Moshe Cordovero. Now let's turn the page. Oh, wow. We're about to finish the first parak of Reishis Chochma. Since we explained, as refer back to the last two videos, right, that the Shechina is the revelation, all the Rebbe Sham's midas that we could understand are all just visible through the Shechina. So the fact that he is Rav Vishal is only Bashchina in the Skala, it's only revealed through the Shechina. Amar Rashbi, this is why Rashbi says, in Parashat Zel Shor, it says, begin Kach, and therefore, Asad Ikra Yir Hashem, there's a place that's called Yiras Hashem, right, which is the Malchus, which is the Shechina, right, it's called the Makom, as we've explained. It's also called Reishis, right? It's also called Reishis, because Sof Maisa, the Malchus of but it's, the Sof Maisa is B'machshava Tchil, it's Reishis HaMachshava. What is the Sof Maisa is Reishis HaMachshava. And that's why over here we are bringing this mitzvah. I believe Rashbi is also talking about how it's alluded to already in the word Bereshis, Yiras Hashem, Bereshis, Reishis Chochma, Yiras Hashem. And so it's over there, Marumas are in the very first word of the Torah. Because Yira is like the Ikra and the Yesod of all the other mitzvahs of Torah. Man and Nater Yira, Nater Kul, anyone who keeps Yira is keeping everything. Lo Nater Yira, if you're not keeping Yira, Lo Nater Pekude Eraisa, you're not keeping the mitzvahs of the Torah. But though the Torah, this is the gate for everything. Begin Kachsiv. And that's why it says in the post, Bereshis, the year, Bereshis, which is Yira, because Reishis Chochma Yiras Hashem, right? So Beresh, which is Yira, Boro Kisham starts. That's Yira is the Yesod, it's the Reishis that from which Bora Shamayim V'Oretz. Yiras Hashem is the Yesod of Bora Shamayim V'Oretz. So explain that, because the Midah of Malchus, which is Yira, which is the Reishis Sofa Mais, which is that's the Makom where the Shamayim and Oretz are. It's called the Makom also, like we explained in earlier videos in Makom Arach. Everything's archived, so you can go back and get it. Okay, we start Perek Sheni of Shara Yira. Perek Sheni. Now, after we defined the inner Yira, we need things that could bring us to it. Things that could awaken us to Yira. Man, do we need this? Because we have a lot to be afraid of. So if we fear God, we don't have to fear Hamas and the anti-Semites and the leftists. Right, so let's just fear God, so we don't have to fear anything else. It's one very nice word in Ala Tshuva from Rav Soloveitchik. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there, but one word that always stuck with me from the first time I read it when I was a kid. I was a teenager. I read Ala Tshuva for the first time. Can't say I've read it many times since, but I remember one word that just stuck with me is that he was asked by a psychiatrist, all this fear, Tein Pachtacha Hashem Elokeinu, Yichru V'Polu, this fear. So Soloveitchik answered him in a very practical way and says, listen, life is full of fear. You're afraid to go to the doctor because what he might diagnose. You're afraid of this, you're afraid of that, you're afraid of this, you're afraid of that. Isn't it better just to have one fear? One big fear instead of a million little different fears. One big, just be afraid of God, and once that's the ikra. Once you're afraid of God, you're not afraid of anything else. It's both from a practical point of view. That's how it's worded. That's how it's expressed in that book, which he didn't write with his own hand. This guy Pinchas Peli, whose brother I met. So Pinchas Peli wrote it. But that's how it's translated practical. It's better to just fear God, and of course, if you fear God, you have nothing else to fear because you recognize God as everything, like we learned. He's Ikra v'Shorsh Kolam. He's Rav v'Shalit. You have nothing else to fear. So the Yom Noraim is actually very therapeutic. Just be more Yiras Shemaim. I mean, you're not afraid of anything else. But of course, it goes deeper than that. With being Yoreh from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so you're directly under him by acknowledging that he is the Rav V'Shod, the Ikra Shorsh, the Kol Almin, right? And nothing else has koach over you. And man, do we need this at this time. All right, so now, but we need ways to, awaken ourselves to this, to get this, to be zocheh to this. So, one means to get the Yira Pnimis. Just take a look, use your mind to just discern the Ma'aser HaKadosh. Kirov Golam Nosiyah, just the greatness of what God does gives you Yira. Said, Imrulo Kim Manoras, I tell you to God, Manora Masecha. How awesome is what you do. Right, so now also Moshe Rabbeinu, which, speaking for his vantage point, was Hashem want for just a little bit of Yira, which Gemara says, that's hard. But for Moshe, it's Moses Zutrasa. Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to God, for him, Yira is easy. But Moshe Rabbeinu, when he says, what does Hashem ask from you other than to fear him, he goes on to explain, and, and he's pointing out that he's really explaining, how do you get your Hashem Elkecha Shemayim V'aretz? Look, Hashem owns heaven and the heavens of the heavens, and all the earth and all that's in it. So near Shumadvar Marim Ma'ira. So it says that Moshe is advising them. Take a look how Hashem had everything that's in heavens and even in the higher heavens and the earth. It's all from Hashem. When you see that Moshe is giving you an eitzah, this will awaken you within you Yira. Means as Rashbi, Olav now these things in the words of Chazal and the words of Rashbi in the Zohar. Now I need to that's what the beauty of this book is, that he builds on primary sources, primarily Zohar, but also Chazal, and he brings down the original source. He just takes you directly to the Chazal, to the Zohar. Right, Zohar, of course, is Chazal. So I have to copy down exactly the way they say, because I guess they said it with tremendous force. So it's better you should get it directly from them than from me. So I'm going to copy down exactly the way they say it, in order to awaken the heart to Yira. Maseches Chagiga, so in Maseches Chagiga, you go off. Zel is what Chazal say. From earth until the first Rakia is a 500-year walk. And the as a word, the width of that rakia itself is a 500-year walk. And that's also between every rakia and rakia is another 500-year walk. Right? We discussed this before. Above them is the chayos. Raga chayos connected kulam. Right? The legs of the chayos are connected all the rakiim. Karsei chayos connected kulam, just the heels. I believe that's what it means. Are also connected kulam. Shokechas connected kulam. The legs of the chayos are connected kulam. Rechube achayos connected that which carries the chayos connected kulam. Yarchechas connected kulam. I guess that's the higher part of the leg is also connected kulam. Gufechas connected kulam. The bodies of the chayos are connected kulam. Saver chayos connected kulam. The necks of the chayos connected kulam. Rosh chayos kulam. The heads of the chayos connected kulam. Kanechas connected kulam. Lamal mengir and Lamal mengir, and above them is the kisei kov. Ragis kov connected kulam. Ragis kov. It also takes up the span of all of them. It's a couple of and God Himself is above all that. So you see all these also, so He's not interested in unpacking all the details, and it's also not necessary because whatever all the details mean, which I don't know what they mean either. And like I always keep on telling you all, when I learn a sefer with you guys, I'm learning with you in real time. This is a chavrusa. I don't look it up ahead of time, so we're all on equal footing as we are learning this. So I did not look up this Gemara ahead of time to even begin to look at the Mefarshim. to unpack all the details, right? But just you got the gist of the Rakim, and there's awesome, how big the Rakim are, especially if there's seven of them, and how there are these creatures that are as big as all these Rakim, even just certain aspects of them are as big as Rakim, and above them all, kids going above them all is God Himself. Well, that's awesome, right? So that makes you appreciate the Galus Habara, and that gives you Yira. Okay, so now, but that's Lashon HaGemara. Parshas B'Shalach. Now let's take from the Zohar. Parshas B'Shalach b'Pasuk Masachel Yosham. So there's B'Shach. Zohar Chalk Beis Nun Vav Am Beis. Right, presumably. So Masachel Yorbayam. So the chariots of Paro and his multitudes were all thrown into the ocean. This Barian Zeh Yoser. So this was actually explained even more. Zelashono. This is the words of the Zohar. Rabbi Yitzchak Passer is opened up. L'kol titen hamo mayim b'shamayim, by Hashem's voice. There's much waters given in the heavens. Right. V'gomer v'taninan, and this is what we have learned. Shiva Rakian of Akushbu. Akushbu made Shiva Rakian. Right. 7 firmaments. Right. And by the way, he's talking in every world and world. Shiva Rakian, we have 7 Rakian right here in Olam Asiyah, right? Kayadua, right? And let alone every Olam has its own parallel to the Shiva Rakian, right? Rakia, Kochav and Kriya. Now in every Rakia, again, there's embedded stars in each Rakia. Ratin, B'chol Rakia, and they run. The stars run in every Rakia and Rakia, right? Well. This, I'm just wondering whether one could, be medaik from here that the stars move. Yeah. The stars move, because we mentioned earlier in Ptolemaic physics, the stars are kavua and the rims, the rakim move. All right, wondering if we could be medaik from the Zohar. That the Zohar was, already going with the Copernican type of model. But who knows? Okay. Unless the Rakia L'chud and Galgal L'chud. Okay, I leave it up to you, but I digress. It's not, these details are not necessary to understand the message he's trying to give over to us. Well, now, of course, the highest Rakia is Haravas Chedra. It's Rakia Shvi, as is well known. Now, every Rakia, to walk it itself, right? Walk around the Rakia would take you 200 years. Verume, but the height of the Rakia is Chamesh Shanim, is 500 years. I mean, the Gemara only spoke about the height. It's 500 years, 500-year walk from, But if you want to talk about the circumference, you want to walk around the rim, just walk around it, that's 200 years, right? And the Zohar says, the Gemara says that even between Rakia and Rakia is another 500-year walk. Via Ravos, now this Aros, which is the outermost and the highest, Rakia, Hilucho B'Urke of Chamesh Me'ashnin, to just walk it, from one end, to walk around it, on the inside. It would be 1,500-year walk. Upusia, its width. It's like 1,500-year walk. Upusia, its width. Elef Chamesh Me'ashnin is also, its width is also 1,500-year walk. Umeziva, and it's from the light of Aravos that all the other Rakim shine. It is like the original, source of the cosmic light that make all the Rakim shine. V'taninan, and we learn Leila Me'aravis. Now above Aravis Rakia, there's something called Rakia per se. Right, process the chayas kadishin v'rumean b'kulahu, le'elamam v'kasir chayas b'kulahu. So now the as it were, the hooves of the chayas hakodesh, and their and their height is in all of them, and above the right, le'elamam v'kasir chayas b'kulahu, right, Right, and above them is also like the heels of the houses and all of them. The Zohar is just saying, he says, relying on him, that the Zohar in the end is just saying he just added details about the the length. It's just had a few details, but roughly saying the same thing as the Gemara said. Rosh Hashanah, and also in that, Viter in the Zohar itself over there, Torah Hadrin Shmei. We're not allowed to say the full name of the angel because as the divine name coded, that there's there's an angel Hadarin. All right, we're not going to say the full name. Vuila al Shar Lochin, and he's above the other angels. El Vashitiru Parsid, right? 1,060,000. So that's you do the math. 1,060 10,000s parsas, because of Masa African, and his voice, it could be heard in in 200,000 rakim. The Mistachon Be'esha Chivra and his which are all surrounded with white fire. I call Shono, right? And so you get the gist. There's like big stuff going on in heaven, and Hashem is bigger than all this, but he keeps on going on to add more details to just give us a pre. If the cosmos is awesome, God is even more awesome, and that will really give you your Shemayim. But also comes out now. This one that Hadran that we just mentioned, he is the second angel that Moshe Rabbeinu bumped into on his way up to get the Torah. But Moshe Rabbeinu was pretty scared. He passed by the first one. The second one was even bigger, like really big, tough guy, like we learned over here. And Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of this Malach. Jesus came up Beis, and Moshe Rabbeinu had to invoke the Shem Ayin Beis. When this Malach heard the oisius of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, which in the tziruf of Ayin Beis Kayadua, Nizdaz of a Karbetzo, so that angel shuddered and actually came close to Moshe in a friendly Va'omer Achar Kacha Maimer, and that same Zohar says, right, Viter in that Zohar says that so now this Malach became Moshe Rabbeinu's friend because he got afraid of the divine name, just the divine name that Moshe Rabbeinu mentioned. Also, he walked him out of Matalesha Takifa until he got to this very strong fire. The Chad Malcha Dishmei Sandal. They got the great fire of this mouth. It's called Sandal. I'm not saying the whole name. Vitana Sandal Ilah Ashar Chavroi Chamesh Oshin. Sandal is above his fellow angels by another 500-year walk. Vulkaim Basar Pagodamar, and he stands right on the other side of the partition of where on the other side of the is the Reishis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu exclusively. Because of Keshi Wilson, it's also the Yisrael and the Kayadua, it says there's a few places in Zohar. Sandal, he makes crowns out of the tools of Am Yisrael and crowns HaKadosh Baruch Hu with them. Now, when this crown comes to the head of the holy king, who Makal says, that's also when he's Makabel the tefillah, with getting the crown, with accepting the crown made out of tefillas, he is Makabel the tefillas. V'kol and Chayla and Vuchasid Mizdaz v'Omrim, and all the multitudes, they all shudder and say, Baruch Yikar Hashem Ma'aser Beish Kedei, blesses the glory of Hashem from the place where Shechina rests. So Hadarn, Moshe, this Hadarn, says to Moshe, less on the Yachal Lemeach Imach, Lo Yokili Eish, to give this sandal. I can't take you any further. I can't go with you any further up for you to get the Torah directly from God, because I don't want to be burnt by the fire of Sandal, this other higher angel. At that time, Moshe Rabbeinu shuddered at the Atkif Bei Kushabri Moshe. So until HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself had to grab Moshe and put him by him to be, said HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu's Makabel Mamash Torah Mipi Hashem directly. This is the words of Zohar that we need for our purposes. Right? From the greatness of the servants, you could say, that the greatness of their master. If the mile of these angels is so great, like we're describing, we also have Ba'atzilos. This is all beneath Olam Atzilos. There are certain creatures that belong to Bria, even and Olam Atzilos is just God, just God's energies, just God's names. All right, so imagine just the midas of the shemus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which are his midas that are in Atzilus, is even higher than all these angels. And if that's just his names, his midas, that's what occupies Olam Atzilus. Angels, there are no angels, no chayas and srafim in Atzilus. It's just shemos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just his midas with which he's manning the world. That's all there is in Atzilus. So that's so bad. So midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is above all these massive angels, and Kavchom HaKadosh Baruch Hu bechvodos the Baal Midas. Right? The far royal Dibra Ashbil of Sham, but Mash Pirsh Pedro Nasano, and I'll take a look at the words of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai himself in the Idra Kadisha in Parsh Naso. Min Riba Alamas Shabbat Tzilus Hema Ro Masi Hashem V'Nifosav. Right? The Olam Atzilus, even though we said that there are no creations there, but the kochos there are like as if there's the kochos there are as if there's like multiple universes within that universe mitzad the raw power that's there. So it's pure world of Maaseh Hashem v'niflosav without any nivroim yet. These are the kochos from which later down the line, when diluted, for lack of a better word, the nivroim come. Oh, but Tikkunim, it says we're in the Tikkunei Zohar, Kesser Ilah, Afal Gavdiu, or Kadmon, or Tzach, or Betzah, Ukam, Kadmon else. We had this Tikkunei Zohar already. Kesser Ilah, the highest sphere, even though it's called or Kadmon, or Tzach, or Betzutach, it's like black relative to God, who is the cause of all. Akal Shalali Yanenu, this is the Lashon Zohar for our purposes. And Hazu Shela Tachas Vikara Ein Sof Gadol, because of this great light that has no end, we call the Ein Sof Gadol, because he really, he makes Kesser look small by comparison, and even that we're talking about the Ein Sof, which is not, that's Ritzono, because Atzmuso we never talk about. Okay. All right, so let's just finish one more sip to finish this. When a person contemplates God's great actions, his creations, and how he's above all these massive creations, you fear him and you subjugate yourself. You surrender from the godless of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you're afraid, you're embarrassed. To be in the presence of God who's everywhere, and you for sure will not transgress any of his mitzvahs. Omar Yonah, and that is what Yonah said, I fear God. And he's not just describing, but he's explaining why. He's the God of heaven. As well, because he's not just the God of heaven, he also made the Yam and Yabasha, and that's why truly he is fear worthy. Near Shayira mitzad matzah, also that the Yira is generated. You generate Yira, right? Mitzad, whose deeds that attest to his grace. Is what David Melch also said. When I look, at your heavens, which the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set up. What is man that is even worth mentioning? You created these awesome things. What's man? Said, what are we? Right? You just feel like so nothing compared to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because you feel so nothing relative to his certain creations. His awesome who b'chvodo batzmo. We're like not even like, it's as if we're not created relative to him. That's what the Daniel says. All that dwells over, like they're considered like nothing. All right, so you get really humble. You get really humble and really in awe of God when you see the greatness of the cosmos that he created, And that alone humbles you, let alone he himself. He's bigger than the cosmos he created. Oh, that's pure Yira and his batlus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Well, it's a lot for one day. We will stop here.